An object zooming through our solar system is challenging notions of scientists and sparking heated debate.
Something is hiding in our solar system, and we have the proof. When Comet 3I Atlas made its approach, it was expected to be a brilliant light in the sky. But the real show wasn't the comet itself. It was the object that appeared just as NASA's live feed was mysteriously cut off. We're not talking about a smudge on the lens or some space dust. We're talking about a clear, manufactured-looking object that glinted in the sun before the authorities could hit the kill switch. The signal was terminated, but the evidence remains. What it revealed is terrifying. The silent messenger. Projections showed that when Atlas made its closest pass to Earth, it might become bright enough to be seen with the naked eye, maybe even during the daytime. News outlets started calling it the Comet of the Century, and people everywhere got ready for a celestial show not seen in a generation. The thing nobody tells you is that comets are basically dirty snowballs, frozen time capsules left over from the birth of our solar system over 4.5 billion years ago. They are relics from the dawn of time. This particular relic, hurtling through the void at a mind-boggling 154,000 miles per hour, was putting on quite a performance. Naturally, the world's most powerful eyes turned toward it. NASA's vast network of space-watching telescopes began tracking Atlas around the clock. In a move to share the excitement, they set up a continuous live feed of raw, unfiltered data, giving everyone a front-row seat to the cosmos. But then the story took a strange turn. The comet that was supposed to become a brilliant beacon began to do the opposite. It started to fade, and fast. Scientists quickly figured out why. The comet was falling apart. Its nucleus, the solid core of ice and rock, was cracking and breaking up under the intense heat of the sun. The great show, it seemed, was ending before it even truly began. But not all things are what they seem. The real spectacle, the one nobody could have predicted, was about to happen in the broadcast's final dying moments. At precisely 3:17 a.m. Coordinated Universal Time, the live feed from NASA's telescopes abruptly ceased. There was no warning, no standby for technical difficulties message, just blackness. Now, technical glitches happen all the time, but what happened in the split second before the blackout created a puzzle that haunts researchers to this day. In the very last frame of video that was transmitted, something appeared that defied all logical explanation. There, in the lower left corner of the image, slicing through the inky black, was a glint of light. This wasn't the soft, fuzzy glow of a distant star or the messy cloud of the disintegrating comet. This was a perfectly straight line, a precise geometric shape that had no place in the organic chaos of space. What many overlooked at first was its sheer perfection. It looked, for all intents and purposes, manufactured. Independent analysts later ran that single frame through edge detection software, and the results were stunning. The object, whatever it was, left a streak that measured exactly 37 pixels long and was almost perfectly linear. It was so clean, so sharp, it sent a shockwave through the community of skywatchers who saw it. The most shocking fact is that its reflective properties didn't match any known space debris. It wasn't a tumbling satellite, and it wasn't a cosmic ray hitting the sensor in a typical way. It looked, according to multiple analysts, like sunlight reflecting off a smooth, polished, metallic surface. And then, in the same instant the broadcast was terminated, it was gone. The world was left staring at blank screens, with the ghost of that impossible straight line burned into their minds. What was this 37-pixel mystery in the dark? Hiding in the noise. When something this bizarre appears, you can bet the official explanations will come thick and fast. And they did. Almost immediately, a wave of perfectly logical, scientifically sound reasons flooded the internet, each one designed to calm the rising tide of speculation. The goal was simple: explain away that haunting 37-pixel line. The first and most common explanation offered was a cosmic ray hit. You see, space is filled with high-energy particles zipping around at nearly the speed of light. When one of these particles strikes a camera's sensor, it can overload a line of pixels, creating a bright and often straight streak. This happens all the time to probes like the Hubble Space Telescope. It's a known and documented phenomenon. The data from the Atlas feed, a bright white streak lasting for only a single frame, was, to be fair, a textbook signature of a cosmic ray event. For many in the mainstream, this was case closed. The second theory was a bit more technical: video compression artifacts. To send huge amounts of data across millions of miles of space, you have to compress it or shrink it down. Computers often do this by breaking the image into little squares, usually 8 pixels by 8 pixels. The theory goes that the compression algorithm might have latched onto a very faint random trail of light from a tiny piece of debris. In the process of squishing the data, it exaggerated this faint line, turning something blurry and insignificant into the sharp, defined streak everyone saw. What's more, investigators found that the glint lined up suspiciously well with the 8x8 pixel grid used for the compression. For those looking for a rational answer, this was the smoking gun. It wasn't an alien ship, it was a digital footprint left by the software. Then there was the third idea, which was almost poetic. Remember, Comet Atlas was literally disintegrating as we watched. The theory suggests that a large, flat piece of ice might have broken off the nucleus. As this shard tumbled through space, its perfectly smooth, newly fractured surface could have caught the sunlight at just the right angle for a fraction of a second. This would create a brilliant, sharp flash of reflected light like a giant cosmic mirror winking at us from 71 million miles away. This phenomenon is called a specular reflection, and it's certainly plausible. It could have been just a perfect storm of cosmic rays, computer code, and a shard of ice aligning at the exact right second to create an illusion. But here's where the official story starts to feel a little too neat. Many people, from amateur astronomers to independent data analysts, felt these explanations were just too convenient, too perfectly packaged. They started to push back, and you can see this everywhere online if you look. They argued that the flash was too clean. Cosmic ray hits often have a bloom effect where the light scatters a bit. As for the compression artifact theory, other programmers tried to replicate the effect and found it nearly impossible to create such a flawless, long and straight line from random background noise. And the ice shard theory? While possible, the odds of a piece breaking off with such perfect flatness and aligning so precisely with both the sun and the telescope at the exact moment before a total blackout are, to put it mildly, astronomical. The thing nobody tells you is that it wasn't the object itself that was the most suspicious part. It was the timing. Why did this 1 in a billion glitch happen in the final frame? Why did the entire public broadcast cut out without explanation at the very instant this anomaly appeared? It didn't feel random. It felt deliberate. It felt like someone or something flipped a switch. These convenient answers just created even more questions. What they're not telling us. The official explanations for the 37-pixel line were simple, clean, and scientific. But for a growing number of people, they just didn't add up. The problem wasn't that the theories were impossible. The problem was that they ignored the single most glaring piece of evidence: the context. The timing of the event was, to put it mildly, ridiculously suspicious. A random cosmic ray or a compression glitch is one thing, but for that glitch to occur in the final recorded frame of a live broadcast that is simultaneously and inexplicably terminated, that stretches the definition of coincidence to its breaking point. It feels less like a random act of nature and more like a carefully managed event. Let's dig into why the official stories feel so thin. The perfection of the line is a major sticking point. Nature, especially in the chaotic environment of a disintegrating comet, is messy. It creates clouds, clumps, and irregular shapes. It doesn't create mathematically precise, straight lines. Our brains are hardwired to recognize patterns, and that straight line is a pattern that screams intelligence or artificial origin. It's the kind of shape you'd expect from a machine, not a rock. You can see this everywhere in our own technology, from the lines of a skyscraper to the fuselage of an airplane. Straight lines imply design. The universe, by and large, deals in curves and chaos. What many overlooked is the sheer improbability of it all. If it was a piece of ice, it needed to be as smooth as glass, break off at the right time, orient itself perfectly between the 71 million mile gap to the sun and the telescope, and then hold that position just long enough to be captured in a single frame before the feed was cut. The odds are so infinitesimally small as to be functionally zero. It's like throwing a single grain of sand from the moon and having it land on the tip of the Empire State Building. Possible? Technically. Plausible? Absolutely not. This leads to a much darker, more unsettling possibility: the idea that the live feed was cut on purpose. Many people are crazy about the idea of a cover-up, and for good reason. Imagine you're an analyst at a monitoring station watching the feed. Suddenly, an object appears that doesn't fit any known profile. It looks artificial. It looks alien. Your protocols would likely demand an immediate shutdown of any public-facing broadcast to prevent mass panic or the leaking of classified information. The system would be designed to react instantly. The termination of the 3i Atlas signal wasn't a glitch, it was a response. Someone saw that 37-pixel line and hit the kill switch. The silence from official channels in the aftermath was deafening. There was no detailed analysis, no follow-up press conference to address the thousands of questions flooding forums online. The event was simply filed away under instrument anomaly, and the world was expected to move on. The thing nobody tells you is that this pattern of behavior is not new. Throughout history, strange astronomical observations have often been met with official silence or dismissive explanations. The goal is always to maintain the status quo and prevent public hysteria. But in the age of the internet, where every frame of data can be analyzed by millions of citizen scientists, it's much harder to keep things quiet. The perfect line and the perfect timing of the blackout point to something far more profound than a simple technical issue. It suggests that our cameras pointed out into the vast darkness accidentally saw something they were never meant to see. The story isn't about a glitch, it's about what came after. The terrifying revelation. So if we set aside the convenient explanations and accept that the timing of the blackout was deliberate, we are left with a terrifying question. What was that 37-pixel line? What object moving silently through the darkness 71 million miles away was so important that its accidental discovery required an immediate global information shutdown? This is where we move from the world of data analysis into the chilling realm of speculation, but it's a realm built on a foundation of deeply suspicious evidence. What if that glint of light was not from a piece of ice, but from the hull of a craft? An object designed, built, and moving with purpose through our solar system. The most shocking fact is that we have no way to truly know. But let's consider the possibilities. The object's trajectory near a comet isn't as random as it sounds. A comet's journey through the solar system is like a cosmic highway, a predictable path that can be observed from vast distances. If an intelligent civilization wanted to send a probe to observe a planetary system up close without being easily detected, hiding in the bright, messy coma of a comet would be an ingenious strategy. The comet provides concealment and a plausible reason for any strange energy readings. The probe could gather data, observe, and then continue on its journey using the comet as a moving blind. We may have accidentally caught a glimpse of such a probe as it adjusted its position, its solar panels, or hull, catching the sun for a brief, fatal moment. This idea might sound like science fiction, but many people are crazy about the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and the strategies they might use are a subject of serious scientific debate. The Sentinel hypothesis, for example, suggests that an alien civilization might place long-duration monitoring devices throughout the galaxy. These sentinels would lie dormant, observing, only revealing themselves under specific circumstances. Did the Atlas camera accidentally catch one of these ancient observers on its watch? The thing is, the implications of such a discovery are staggering. It would mean that we are not only not alone, but that we are, and perhaps have been for a very long time, being watched. The mystery of 3I Atlas remains a scar on our picture of the cosmos. Was it a glitch or a deliberate cover-up? Are we being protected from a terrifying truth? Like and subscribe and tell us in the comments. Is it more terrifying to think we are alone in the universe or to know for certain that we are not?